Amazing.
It's happening.
Welcome everyone to this spontaneous live with Dr. Dain Heer, and I'm not Sarah Grandinetti. I am a substitute for today. I'm Kate Sarton. We wanted to pull Dain here to talk a little bit about this upcoming reset to 2024 or 2020, 2020, 2024, I think is how you in your most recent video. One of the things that I'm so excited for with this, Dain, and I would love to hear your piece about it, is obviously this time of year, everybody starts talking about New Year's resolutions, new year, new you. But it also has, exactly, because it has so much judgment attached to it. It's so much about like getting body right, getting money right, relationships right, on and on and on. So what is different about Reset 2020, 2020, 2024 compared to anything else that usually happens?
You got the date right too. I'm very impressed. Here's if we okay, so one major element of this is going to be us getting out of the judgment of us and everything in our lives and everyone in our lives and that backlog of shit that falls out of the closet every time you open the door, and the backlog of mental crap that seems like it's always following you, and your family where you're not good enough, and your lack of perfection, and all of this. One of the major elements of this is going to be getting out of judgment. And because exactly as you said, this idea of new year, new me, it's like, hey, what was wrong with the not new you? You know, there was nothing wrong with that person, except that person was in judgment of that person. So that person walks around in judgment. So we have this idea of, I like it. Hello, Dr. Dain and Sarah Grandinetti. Whoa, close. Okay. We walk around in such judgment of ourselves all the time. If we changed nothing but that, if we got completely out of judgment, everything in our worlds would transform. And so to a certain extent, it's the beginning of a new platform. And the first reset that I did, which is why it looks like reset 2, if you weren't on it, it lived up to its name. It pressed the friggin' big red reset button on everything in reality. And we did it over 15 days. Well, the beginning of 2024 here, given the doors that opened and the space that became available, what I would like to explore now is, with the first thing that we just talked about, getting out of judgment of us, now what is possible? In other words, given that there is a different space, because we had thousands of people on reset number 1, and I got literally thousands of people saying their lives had transformed in those 15 days. I mean, usually if you have a program with that many people, you don't hear from that many people. You know what I mean? And just the genuineness of their gratitude, I was like, okay, I want to do something with that, but also at the beginning of this new year where so many things seem like they're available, but also at the end of the last year, a lot of people had a sense of just absolute heaviness and crap and yuck, stuck and what the fuck. And I'd like to break that and let's go to a different direction.
Yeah, boom. And I love so much what you brought up about how much changed and how much you heard from people. One of my favorite things about Global Bars Weekend was there were so many people there that had been on the reset, and there were these ongoing conversations and sharing of gratitude and what changed for people. And it was truly fucking miraculous. I left you a voice note about it because I was like, wow, I got to be a part of this, like to like tap into that energetically, but then also to have those moments with people was so fucking beautiful. And I love what you're speaking to, that there's now even more possible, because I think sometimes we think that there's a destination. So is there anything you want to say about that, about there always being more possible?
No, girl, you were hitting the points. I got to tell you, and I'm grateful because, and when I say hitting the points, we didn't talk about what we were going to talk about, right? And you're hitting. I'm like, you're like this. It's so cool. Um, yeah, because one of the things here's the interesting part that I've seen over 23 years of doing access consciousness, which access changes things in a on a different level than anything else I had ever done and anything else I've seen. And that's not to invalidate anything else. There's some wonderful stuff out there. And if you can recognize that, well, it doesn't matter. I'll recognize it for you. You're welcome. But, and so what happens is the change that you get from any of the access consciousness tools that you use, any of the classes you do. So let's say you did reset number 1 and you're like, whoa, everything is different. And literally you look around your life and everything is different. And there's no way to explain that to people, number 1. You know, like if somebody said, hey, what'd you get out of reset? They'd be like, because it's so big, you can't put words to it. Yeah. And we have this all the time with access in classes where people ask, what did you get? And they go, everything, you know, but somebody out there in the world who's never experienced access doesn't get it, but that's okay. But so one of the other things that happens is when so much changes, people think that they need to process it. No, you fucking don't. You need to go live from this new space now. Yeah. There's no processing required. All this new space is you being the you that you couldn't be before because there were fixed points of view in the way, because there were roadblocks, because there were ways that you created you that aren't really true for you. Everything you open up to in access is what's actually more you. It's actually what's you. So what we're doing is we're letting go of what's not you. We're inviting you to know what is by inviting you into the space of getting it, even if it's just for a moment. And then anytime, see, the way this works is, and the way consciousness works, is anytime you get a bit more of you, that's something that you will always have access to. It's beautiful. It's like an ever expanding universe. Now, if you were expanding, let's say you have it is literally this, okay? So you have an expanding universe. So every time the universe expands, it doesn't contract. You may choose to occupy the whole thing, or you may choose to only occupy a little bit, but it's always there for you to occupy. And so one of the things that occurred for people with Reset 1 was there was so much change that a lot of them are like, oh, I need to still process. Please don't, because what that's doing is that's limiting the next change that you can have. And it's not about change for change's sake, in the sense of, oh, I must change because I don't like myself. Oh, I must change again because I must change because, no, there's, as an infinite being, there is a lot to you. And we can't even begin to fathom it. I was having a conversation with somebody one time, and she's like, I think I really get infinite. I totally get being infinite. And I was like, really? Like, you really think you really get what it is to be infinite? I'm like, she went, yeah. And I went, okay, so what's it like being a planet? I said, what are you talking about? I said, well, infinite is the entire universe. I said, a planet is one tiny infinitesimal amount of what that is. What's it like being a planet? She went, I don't know. I'm like, I know, because the idea of you being infinite, it's unfathomable to us. But what that means is that for each expansion that we get, there's always so much more. And if instead of trying to stop and figure it out before we move forward, what happens is, in that, we will continue to have more and more and more lightness, more and more joy, more and more possibilities, more and more movement, because we're like sharks. We're meant to keep moving. And this is the thing about it. We're meant to keep moving. And I also want to say I'm really grateful for all the people that are different languages that are on. And we have a bunch of languages that this is going to be translated into also.
Yeah. So excited for Reset 2. So much amazing change has been consistently showing up since the first, including my willingness to actually choose. So grateful for you and this. Heck yeah, Anna.
Element number 3, if we're counting, choice. Most people have no clue what it actually is and can be. And they don't believe then that they have choice because nobody's ever explained to them what choice is and presented it in such a way that they get the aha of what it actually is to the to such a degree that it makes total sense and they don't have to avoid it anymore. And if you look at a lot of people around the world, it's like how many people around the world don't want to acknowledge that they have choice because they look at what they've chosen and they don't want to be responsible for that. But what if you looked at your life and were very proud of what you've chosen? You know, they say pride goeth before a fall, but I disagree. I think being proud of what you've chosen is is a great gift. And being proud of who you are. That's not excluding anybody else, that's including all of you and everyone. And so one of the interesting parts about access is it's kind of like for every element of this reality where we're limiting ourselves, like pride is bad. Well, there's an element of consciousness that takes it and expands it when you tap into what it actually is, not the weird twist that we've gotten in this reality. And by the way, while we're at it, all of you who have created something that feels like it's not even you, that you feels almost like maybe an entity or another person. Like, you know, there's like the you that seems really stupid sometimes, that seems very twisted into significance, seems twisted into this reality and its judgment systems. And so what'll happen is there'll be a space where you're like, yo, yay, everything is possible. And then by the next day, you're like, oh, fuck, I feel normal again. What happened? And so everything you've done to create that twist as a way of proving that this reality and all of its judgment and all the crap was actually valid for you, and creating it on purpose because you knew that it would create a place where eventually it would become time to change it. Well, so my question is now the time? Is now the time to end the twist? Is now the time to untwist? Is now the time to go beyond the twist? Is now the time to say, thank you, twist, fuck you, twist, bye-bye, twist? Times a gadzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. See, and one of the other interesting parts of access consciousness and the way we go about things is we're always functioning from the question, what is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? If so, how do I change it? So you'll see this common theme of people being very expansive and having a sense of being them and being very happy where everything is possible, and then feeling the exact opposite. And rather than making it wrong, what we look at is, okay, what is this? Like, what do we do with it? Can we change it? If so, how do we change it? And that's how this thing about the twist came up. And we'll do more on that. That'll be our fourth element. I hope Monica's taking notes. That'll be our fourth element of one of the things that we need to do a little more in-depth stuff. But the reason I want to point it out is because if there's some of you out there that feel like you're this thing called you, which has lightness and possibilities, and then you're not wrong. Okay. You're not wrong for having that. You're not wrong for it's something that a lot of people have and have had. And let's fucking change it together. And it will be one of the other places that we start.
Boom. Man, talking with you is always so fucking awesome because it's like each word even that you put in then opens up all these other tracks that we could go down in exploration. And so I can't wait for this to start because I know this is just the beginning of where we could be going. And something that has contributed so much to me with what you speak about is not slowing down. Like, how much is the figuring it out, the like having to prove what has changed, all of that is a slowdown from what is actually possible when we stay in the question and we stay in that space. And so I just want to say thank you for being that invitation, because I know my life had way more significance and crunch in it before playing with these tools in this way. And I also love what you said about being proud of your choices, it resonates with what you said before about what if everything in your life is a gift? And then what becomes available from that space and the judgment that that melts, because then you don't have to slow down to judge yourself to be able to step in to what else you're asking for and aware of. I think my question for you is that interesting space of like, we see what is showing up in our lives and then what we are aware of. And I think a lot of times that's where the judgment starts to ping, because we're like, we're aware of this. I know this should be possible. This is what I'm asking for. And this is what's here right now. Do you have like any little nugget you want to give the people today, or should we just tell them to come join us?
Come join us. Oh, one thing I do want to say, because otherwise I will probably forget, is if you're on the Access Consciousness database, meaning signing up at accessconsciousness.com, having an account, I'm gifting the first call to everyone on the Access Consciousness database. So if you don't have an Access Consciousness account, please go there and sign up. Give us a valid email address, because otherwise you won't get the call-in information. But so I'm gifting that to everybody, and we'll see. I'm gonna get through as much as I possibly can on that first one, and then because the Reset 2 is 10 days, and so what I'm going to do is gift everybody else another 10 days. So see, somebody was kind enough to put on there, the comment that was put on the screen about all the heaviness disappears when I listen to your audios and watch your videos. And I love that. Okay. Because I live in this world too, and I perceive so much heaviness also. But what I've found is there's a way that I can be for people and with people, and that there's a way that we can be together that changes it, that takes you from zero to hero. No, as that rhymed. That takes you from heaviness to lightness and space, and what's actually more us. So I want to point that out, because that's one of the gifts of this. One of the things I've said for a very long time, and it's a partial answer to your question, which is that the more that we choose that makes us lighter, the more lightness we have in our lives, and the more we tap into that space of lightness, the more we start living it. The more we start living that, the more we look through a totally different lens at everything. That looking through the different lens at everything is what allows us to know that we have different choices. That willingness to know that we have different choices, and the recognition that we don't have to figure out or understand or stop in order to solidify everything in order to choose, creates a place where we can continue to move forward based not on the solid blocks of a solid judgmental, right, wrong, good, bad reality, but on the whispers of possibility that the universe presents to us all the time, that most of us ignore because we don't know they're there, and because we're so looking for the solid block of right and wrong that we're not waiting for the whisper of it's not right and wrong, but it's fucking beautiful. Because that's an energy of whisper. One of the biggest things in Access we talk about from the very beginning is what's true makes you lighter and a lie makes you heavier. Well, that whisper of possibilities, and there are so many whispers of possibilities that the universe presents us with. So, and that has a lightness to it that is, just wow. And so it's like in that lightness, like if you think of lightness, it's like moving molecules. Okay. And heaviness, like solid block. Well, so the lightness is where the movement is. The lightness, and that's where actual choice is. And so here we are. There's a lot of people, once again, who believe they don't have choice, but they've never been exposed to what choice actually is, which is based on lightness and movement, and following the lightness and following the actual desire that you as a being have, not the thing that we think is what we need to do of having our needs fulfilled, which is where a lot of people are stuck in the need graveyard and believe that that is the only choice they have, is that the only reason for choice is to fulfill their needs, but their needs are based on the idea of them being needy as a being. And there's no such thing as a needy being. There are a lot of us, though, who have created a lot of points of view about us being needy. And your point of view creates your reality. And sometimes it takes the experience of something different, the experience of a space, the experience of lightness, the experience of a seemingly random choice that creates miracles in your life to recognize that all of this is actually possible. So the other element of this is the living, breathing experience of it, not just the talking head of, oh, this plus this plus this. This is not that. And nothing I do is that. Yes, I will talk, I will put words to things, but the far more valuable thing that you can receive from this is the energetics of it, or what you experience, what you get to be, what you get to have the experience of energetically as we go along. And if you don't think 10 days with me and a bunch of other crazy weirdos is going to change things, you cray. That's all I got to say. Come on, let's play.
Yeah. Well, and you know what you reminded me of, because like so much because how many people in the world are actually inviting us to that? And one of the things, it's funny, but it's also an indicator of where I think a lot of people are at. There are all of these posts that are going up. And I think you mentioned this somewhere too, of like all of the posts people are putting up about how they just want an uneventful 2024. Like they've already thrown in the towel. They're like, can it just and blankets, and like everyone's already suffering from PTSD. And so the invitation to like, it doesn't have to be that. Like we can actually be in this space of possibility.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Oh, cool. Since the first reset, I've got so many gifts by not avoiding and defending. I'm getting closer to being me. How does it get any better? Thank you. Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you. The greatest gift in the world is people letting me know, and their gratitude. It is truly, for me, it is the wind beneath my wings. Like, wow. So when you mentioned the PTSD, so one of the things we have in Access is a way of getting over PTSD quicker than anything else I've ever seen, quicker and more dynamically, I should say. So all of you who still have PTSD from the pandemic and everything around that, and everywhere what's going on now is just built on that, and it's creating all the things that you're avoiding. How many things are you avoiding? Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so sweet. How many things are you avoiding? How many things are you defending for and against that stick you? And how much are you proving that this is a reality for you by solidifying it in a way that may not be true for you? Everything that is, times a gazillion, we destroy and create it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. The other way of getting rid of PTSD is by having your bars run. Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. Oh, thanks for making me cry on my live around the world. So once again, and okay, so also everything that makes you think you need to have PTSD so you can be coupled with everybody else,
right,
and everything that makes you believe it's appropriate to have PTSD, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Times a gazillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Whew. Okay. And I love the comments about thriving. Oh, yeah, that's called the clearing statement. You can go there. So, dun da da. Somebody said on here, bars suppresses stuff very good for a while. I'm like, no, what bars does, it doesn't suppress it. It releases you from it. And so anyway, I want to point that out. And the and thank you for the people that have made the comments about how much the reset has changed. Like, I'm thriving, which that's my target. And that's awesome. First reset changed everything. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. Go, baby, go. So great. So this is for me why. My why is, let me tell you my why, actually. Let me put this into some words for people, because I tend to get a lot of energetic stuff that I can't seem to convey very well in words many times. My why is, and by the way, thank you for all of you who are commenting on what the reset created. I really so friggin' grateful. Thank you. My why is because when I was at the place, I was going to end my life 23 years ago. I had set a date because I had tried every fucking thing I could find to change my life, and I was still so depressed I wanted to die. And I was waking up every morning hating my life. I was done. Okay. So I said, universe, you got 6 months. Either my life changes or I'm out of here. I ran across an ad for Access Consciousness bars. I had one session, and within an hour and 15 minutes, I went from depressed and suicidal to gloriously grateful to be alive. And it was like this thing, it was such a change that I felt like I got access to all the miraculousness that I always knew should exist that nobody else ever seemed to see, that I'd given up on a long time ago. And from that moment, I was in. I was like, baby, the world needs to know this exists. And that is why I do what I do. And so when I hear people, I also, like, I have a sense of when I can do something that will contribute to people. And that's when we create a class, or that's when we create a program, or whatever it is. You know, a lot of people in the world are like, they have a sense of when they can make money on people. That's not my motivation. My motivation is having people have that miraculousness that I found out was possible, but not just for a moment, but to start living it. So my overall target is creating more consciousness on the planet, because one of the things I'm aware of is that if we create more consciousness on the planet, all of the stuff like the war and the poverty and the suffering can change. The new, consciousness is the predecessor to new technology, which is interesting. And then they try to use technology to control consciousness, which doesn't work very well, even though people try. But it's an interesting thing when you realize what we are capable of, and to realize how much the world has changed just in the last few years, and how many more possibilities are available, and what people are willing to know. And that for me is the exciting part, because if I'm not excited about something, it doesn't get created. It goes nowhere, But when I'm excited about, I can sense the change this is going to create because of the people, because of the timing, because of the universe. That's when shit happens. Come on, let's make shit happen together. Come on, let's play. Come on.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you highlighted with that piece of, you were at a point where you had given up on miraculousness. And I was like, fuck, like that. Like, what if we could give up on the solidity and the conclusion and the judgment of this reality instead of giving up on miraculousness? And like being able to play with you and everyone who was a part of the last round, that like has been that in motion.
Awesome. Thank you. And that is exactly that. And that's us. We're fucking miraculous. And let's go there. And let's also divest ourselves. And I guess we should probably let people go live their lives after this. But let's divest ourselves of all of the lies that we bought before this moment. All the lies about who we are, about what's possible, about what's not. All the lies about how to create a mediocre life rather than the one we'd actually love, and whether it is possible or not. Everything that is, times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, pop, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And one of the subjects we're probably going to have to address during the reset is our favorite one for so many people, money. Yay.
Yay.
Because there are a lot of people that will, have either a resistance or a struggle to paying the $47 that the reset is. And for me, I used to be in that place. I understand it really well personally. You do too. A lot of people I know do and did also, right? And and so changing that perspective from, because what would happen is I would be angry at people that were charging money for something. Like the
Right.
first reset, 15 days, $15. Nobody could think it was about the money. Nobody could make it about the money. Well, this one, 10 days for 47. Ooh, that's getting into where it might be about the money. Oh, no, 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 no. But if your point of view is, this is where we got to realize our point of view creates our reality. So if your point of view is the point of view I used to have before I started Access, which was, how dare they charge money? All the good stuff should be free. Everything that brought up, there's no way of, here's the thing about that is, there's no way of defending against that point of view. There's no way of changing if somebody has that point of view. The only thing I can do is point out to somebody, how much is that point of view limiting the money that you can have?
Hmm.
And can you change the world more with money or without money? And the answer, of course, is with. Can you change it without? Of course. But can you change it more with or without? And so it's a conversation that I want to have with people on a different level than we've been able to have before. And I think what we got to in Reset 1 is hopefully open the door for that, plus everything that all of us have chosen since. And so all of you who, another thing, sorry. In that resistance to paying for something, what we do is we need to make ourselves right for that. And sometimes we feel wrong, or sometimes we want to make the other person wrong. But in order to do that, what we do is we have to destroy our income, which is interesting. What if instead we could shift over to the point of view of, wow, what would it be like to have the money to pay for everything I desire without even a resistance, but with a joy, that you have it, with the joy that you can contribute to somebody else? And then what would it be like if we went, wow, okay, cool. For every dollar I put out, at least 10 comes back. So everything that doesn't lie to perceive, know, be, and receive that. Will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Times a gazillion, right? Wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, puck, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. And what's interesting and wonderful to me is I know there are people out there who've never heard of me or Access that are watching this right now, which is really cool. And I can't have a conversation that cannot be heard because it feels like roadblocks and it's too much work. Okay. So what's wonderful to me is in being able to have this short snippet of a conversation about a different point of view about money, my sense is we're actually going to be able to finally go to a place and space that allows us to anybody who's willing to have a different relationship with money, a different sense of money. It's not actually about the relationship and the distance, but about communion, about where money finally gets to be a contribution, where wow, this is interesting. Holy cow. And this is the way the whole thing works, by the way. We start somewhere, and then just like you were saying, you say one word and it opens up a whole universe. So where money can be not only a contribution, but where all of the contributions that the universe wants to give us can be there for us, including money, but where money is just one of the things. When that's the tool that needs to be used, use it because you have it. But be willing to have it because you don't have to try to have a pride in poverty and try to pretend you're superior to people with money and try to prove you're spiritually superior because you don't have any money and haven't showered in the last 6 weeks. Everything that is times a godzillion. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, what is great about being poor and smelly? What is that about? I don't get it. Everything that is times a godzillion. We destroy and uncreate it all, please. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod, puck, all nine, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. Now, if you're somebody who's poor and smelly, I don't care. Okay. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much money you don't have. Just if you are smelly, please let me give the overarm hug. Okay. Why is it the people that have the stinkiest underarms are always the ones who want to overarm hug you? And you walk around and you're like, anyway, everything that brought up, right, wrong, good and bad, pod and puck, all night, shorts, boys.
It's
Oh,
not
that's
the first. There's like the law of thermodynamics and there's the law of stinky armpit over.
Totally. Exactly. And as somebody pointed out, there are people with money who are really smelly too. That is so friggin' true. So, and this is the thing, like, look at this, right? Let's be able to laugh at everything. Let's be able to laugh at ourselves and our follies. The more laughter, the more joy, the more gratitude shows up, but also the more ease you have with receiving, the more ease you have changing. Laughter creates far more change than tears. And you'll notice because, we talked about the judgment thing, right? And what happens is the places you will not laugh are the places you're in judgment.
Yeah.
Period. Either of you or somebody else. And so one of the things we found about judgment is for every judgment you have, nothing that doesn't match that judgment can come into your awareness. So judgment limits money, it limits happiness, limits laughter, limits joy, limits gratitude. You can either have money, happiness, joy, gratitude, and liking yourself and liking other people, or you can have judgment, your choice. But the beauty of judgment is judgment makes you superior to others, which is why you do it. You do it so you can be superior. You also do it so you can be right instead of wrong. Well, as the humanoids that are watching this, and the humanoid is you weird seeker that's always looked for something different, and people don't understand you and you don't understand yourself. And you keep thinking that you're wrong somehow just for existing because you can't do anything normal, which means you feel like you're not right because you can't do it right, which is normal because you're not normal, which is the greatest gift of you. But as the humanoid, you don't actually know how to judge. You've learned how to judge and you use it against you rather than recognize that you are a space that really doesn't thrive on judgment and you don't have to choose it anymore. Everything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, poveds, and beyonds. So you might consider this a bit of a taster for what the reset will be. Come and play. Let's get out of judgment. Let's expand into where money is no longer a significance and we're right for not having it, or we're right for the amount that we have, or we're wrong for the amount that we have. See, which is why I started with judgment, which you brought up brilliantly. Thank you. So, no, if you had no judgment regarding money, money would be a thing of ease. And if you had no judgment regarding money being the source and necessary for creation, then you could be creative, which would allow money to show up because money is the byproduct of creation. It's not the source of creation. And if you had that, look at it for a moment. If you had ease with money, how much more ease would you have in every area of your life? And so that is the last thing I really want to address and invite us to is actually having a life and living of ease. We are fully capable. Now, more than ever, is the time and the space to actually have a life of ease. So, as the beginning of that, everybody, and this will be the last thing I say, and I love that. It's like, this wasn't an intro, this was a free reset. Exactly. And guess what? We're just getting started, kids. I hope it's fun for you because it is for me. So, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Just say those words 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening. And we will explore that a little bit more too in the reset. And the last thing for everybody who is confused about the gift I'm giving, if you are signed up on the Access Consciousness website, if you have an Access Consciousness account on the site, I am gifting everybody the first reset call. Okay. Which will be very similar to this, but different. You'll see. You'll notice. And when we get there, you'll think I'm going to talk about all the same stuff I talked about today. No, I won't. I'm going to talk about completely different stuff than I talked about today, and some of the same stuff. And that's how it works. It's this wonderful meandering path where what goes on in your head and what you open up to and what the universe can gift us flow together into something that's greater than any of us could have planned. So there, come along.
Yeah. Amazing. Dain, thank you so much for hopping on live today and giving the people or the non-people-y people a taste of what we'll be playing with. The first call that's free for everyone is coming up the 10th. And yeah, what will your life be like in 5 years if you choose to come and play with us? What will it be like if you don't?
Come play. See you there. Thank you, Miss Kate. And thanks, everybody. Mwah. Bye-bye.